Hey guys, in this application we're going to be building a contact list. Okay, so we're going to be using persistent data in this application. Okay, we're going to be able to create contacts and save them in a database, and we're going to be using Firebase for that, which is a free NoSQL database. Well, at least the development, using it for development is free. I think there are premium options, but what you want to do is just create a free account at firebase.com. I believe you can log in with your Google account, and once you do that you'll see this interface here, and you can see I already have one, contact list dev. This was just the database that I built the project with. What I'll do is create a new one. So once you log in, simple as just putting in an app name. So we'll say contact list. I'm gonna call it contact list, and then the URL has to be unique, so I'm just gonna say contact list 2. Okay, that looks good. You guys will have to pick something else, and you can see that we have the URL to the database right here. Alright, so click on create new app. Okay, that's gonna give us a new database. So if we click manage app, it's gonna take us to the interface. Now all we're going to do is use the database. We're not going to use any of this security rules or authentication or anything like that. Alright, and there's actually an NPM module that we can install to interact with our Firebase, and it's actually really easy. I think it's one of the easiest data stores, remote data stores to work with. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started, and we will be using React and Flux in this project. So I'm going to create a new folder called contact list. Okay, now we're going to be using a lot of the same setup code as the last Flux project. So what I'm going to do is I have a boilerplate here, and I'll probably include that with the project files, but I'm going to be grabbing stuff from here. Alright, so first thing I'm going to grab is the package.json. Alright, so I'm going to copy that and bring that over. And I'm going to do one by one just so I don't confuse you guys and just bring everything over at once. What I'm going to do is add my project to Sublime Text. So we want contact list, and if we open up the package.json, I'm going to go ahead and change the name to contact list. And let's see, the description, simple contact list app. Alright, and then down here we have all our dev dependencies. We have Browserify, Flux, of course, Gulp, which we'll be using as our task runner, Reactify, which takes care of our JSX, and then we also have the Vinyl source stream and object assign modules. Alright, and then in our dependencies we have React and React DOM. Alright, so go ahead and get this copied or use the project files and save that. And then we're going to open up a command line or a terminal, if I can get to it. I do have 6 monitors, so it's a little come on. There we go. Alright. Good old Windows 8. Alright, so let's open up CMD as an administrator. Okay, so I'm going to navigate to my projects folder / contact list. Okay, and now since we have our package.json file, we can just run npm install, and that'll go ahead and install all the dependencies. And there's quite a bit, so it might take a minute or two. Alright, so that should be all set, and you can see, let me just pull up the folder here, not that one. Now we have a node modules folder. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is let's create our file structure before we actually create the gulp file. So we're going to create a source folder, and then everything is pretty much going to go in there. Alright, so we're going to bring over our index.html. Okay, and I'm going to open up each one of these so you can see, just in case you don't have the boilerplate and you want to just copy it. Alright, so we just have basic HTML structure. We have an ID, a div with the ID of app. We have jQuery, Bootstrap, and our main.js. Okay, these will get generated into the dist folder after we create the gulp file. All right, and compile everything. So I'll go ahead and get that set up. All right, and then let's see. Let's grab our CSS folder. Just has a Bootstrap and a style.css. So we'll grab that. All right, and then let's create a JS folder. And then inside that, we're going to have a main.js. I'm going to bring that over. Okay, if we take a look at that, we're including our main app component, which will create that file in a second. We have React DOM, and then also our API file. Okay, this is the file that we're going to interact with Firebase with. All right, and then we just have our render down here. We're rendering our main app component, and then we're telling it that we want it in the div with the ID of app. Okay, so that's the main.js file. Now let's grab vendors is the folder that has Bootstrap.js and jQuery. Obviously we don't need to edit those in any way, but let's just bring that folder over. Okay, next let's grab the actions. Okay, so we have a file called app actions. I'm going to grab that. All right, and let's open that up. So this is just a base for, actually, you know what, we don't need this. Okay, so this is just, we're including the dispatcher here, we're including the constants file, and then we have our app actions object, which will hold all of our functions. All right, so let's save that. Next, we have our components, and all I have in here so far is just the main app component. Let's go ahead and paste that in. Okay, so I have this set up with some of the stuff that we need for Flux. Okay, we need our listeners, our add change listener, and remove change listener. We have a function called getAppState, and that's going to hold all of our state values. We also have the render, which is just rendering a div with some text, and then the onChange event down here, which is going to basically set our state again whenever it's re-rendered. All right, so make sure you get all that. All right, let's see, what do we have? Constants. Let's grab that. That's a very simple file. Okay, so we have app_constants.js, and we just have an example here of receive items. I'm actually going to just get rid of that. Save it. All right, now the dispatcher is pretty much going to be the same in all of our projects. Let's just copy that. And I'll go ahead and show you that. We're not going to edit this file in any way. Basically, it's just handling dispatching. We're including the Flux app module here, and we're creating our payload with, it's going to have a source or an action, and it's going to pass the actual action with it, and then call this .dispatch, okay, and pass in the payload. So get that done. And let's see, stores. Okay, we're going to bring over our stores folder. Okay, and we have a store called App Store, and we're just including everything here. Make sure that you have the assign module, and also we're including the app API file, which will be in the utils folder. All right, and then we just have just a standard items array here, which we'll be changing that to contacts. And then we just have our change events here, our change functions, and down here is where we'll have our switch statement, where we look at the action type, all right, and pass any data we need to, and so on. All right, so we'll save that. Okay, so just about there. Let's see, we need our utils folder, which is going to hold the API file. Okay, so we have app.api.js, and for now we're just including the actions file, and we have an empty exports object. Alright. Like I said, that's where we'll be interacting with Firebase. And I think that should be it. Yeah, so that's the boilerplate. I will include this in your project files, and we'll most likely use it in future applications, but I'll still go over it like I did now because not everybody takes every single project in the course. So now what we want to do is we want to create the gulp file. Alright, so that's going to be in the root here. Actually, I'll just bring it over. Alright, so let's open that up. And we're just requiring a couple things: gulp itself, browserify, reactify, final source stream. And then we have a couple tasks. We have browserify. This is going to take care of converting our JSX to JavaScript. You can see it uses reactify for that. And then it's going to basically bundle all of our JavaScript into one file called main.js. Alright, and then down here we have our copy task. It's going to create our dist folder with our index page. It's also going to bring over the CSS and the vendor's JavaScript. Alright, and then we just set that as a default. And this gulp.watch makes it so that we can actually run it, and then it'll automatically update with any changes that we make. Alright, so make sure you have that. And now we just need to run gulp. So let's go ahead and go back to the terminal, and we're just going to run gulp. And hopefully, okay, so that's running. Now let's go and close the boilerplate up. And let's go, we can see it created a dist folder, and if we go to index.html, I'm going to open that with Chrome, and we get my app. Okay, let's take a look at the console, and everything looks good. Alright, so our boilerplate's set up. In the next video, we will start to create our components. We'll work in the main app component, and also we'll be creating the form and some other stuff as well. So I will see you in the next video.